say some stuff for me. Would you be so kind of saying a bunch of stuff?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Alright.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
That sounds louder than I do. It's all the way in.
Okay.
That's good enough.
Okay.
And I can also amplify some. At this point, pretty much all you have to do is hit stop recording and then move down one. Probably. Well, we got to make sure it's laptop connected. I'm going to move it over just a little bit so that
You're not getting my
video. But it's not. Let's give it a second. Maybe it will.
Okay.
Oh, please don't have another week. Did we have a problem? We had a problem with the last people. We had a problem with Amanda.
I bring problems.
It's not up to I hate this system here. Because somebody said we're just having projected.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
And then, how far for the video do we have on the table? Just this table or just her or what?
You're both in frame right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I got both right now.
This would be something to hide behind.
We can move it on the cable. Slightly.
Which is directly in.
Not again.
Oh, wait a minute. The flash?
Do I need this?
Oh, there we go. It slightly got pulled out of the wall. Okay.
Okay.
So, really, stop recording, then move one down. Or maybe 16 by 9. You see what it says 16
This
by
is
9?
probably my favorite.
She may have 16 by 9 resolution there. So it looks better. If you look too thin or too fat, adjust accordingly.
Yeah, always make me thinner. Always.
But that would be, in that case, you won't leave them the 4 by. Well, actually, that doesn't get adjusted. Just the screen.
Yeah.
That's the laptop screen. But you got this going. I'm gonna go ahead and work on some more video back in my room.
I don't want.
It's on the screen regular. No, you had it right. No.
Bear with me for a moment. This is a brand new computer, like literally. Trying to get the. There we go. All right. Just let me know when you're ready, because we're ready. Over here. We ready? All right, good. So thanks for coming out to our talk. My name is Branden Miller. This is my daughter.
I'm Audrey Miller.
And this is her first time presenting. So thank you. So our topic is From Junk to Jewels, Destruction is the Key to Building. And we've added a subtopic after last night's failures and today's failures, which is it's okay to fail and still have fun. We failed at just about everything except for one of our projects.
Yep.
All right, so who am I? Obviously, I'm a family man. I got multiple kids. We're adding more all the time, it seems like. They range from 17 going to college to 14, 11, and 2. Don't judge us. I'm an information security consultant. At least I am until next week. I've recently resigned from my job, and I'm actually going to be doing internal consulting for a healthcare organization. I'm a gun owner multiple times over. I believe that the Second Amendment is simply one of the many Bill of Rights that we have. They're all just as important. And I like to call myself a hardware hacker because it makes me sound like I know what I'm talking about. But I'm mostly a hardware failure. But that's okay. I still have fun.
And I am a homeschooled high school freshman. I love to read. Probably my favorite book is Harry Potter. And I'm new to hardware hacking. Like, I literally know probably nothing about it before I started. And my favorite color is purple.
And whenever we talk hardware hacking, we're not talking about like reading from headers and stuff like that. It's just the actual physical hardware itself. So kind of how we got here, we started with this. I like to blame my wife because she bought this from a secondhand store. So you can start building things and understanding electronics. This was $10. Now if you buy this in stores, it's like the $59 kit. But like I said, she got this from secondhand store, and it's resistors, capacitors, audible alarms, power sources, everything you need to understand what the things on your motherboard are and what their purpose is. So this is kind of what we started out with. And we got the kids started asking questions about, well, we know what these little components look like, but what do they actually look like in computers? So that's how we started.
Also, I just really like destroying things, and it's really fun. And building things is fun too. Not as fun, but still really fun.
The fun really, is in the destruction, right? One of our favorite tools is a screwdriver because it doubles as a lever. And yeah, it's just go at it. For me as a dad, one of the things that I wanted to do, kind of a success story, I don't know if any of you guys have been to AID in the last couple of years, but you would have met my daughter. She spoke in, actually the very first conference she spoke at was ShmooCon. And that blows my mind because I tried to be a presenter there for like 5 years and they kept saying no. And then she submits her first time and got selected. And because she was a minor, I got a ticket too, so I thank her for that. But she wanted to be an artist. And I know nothing about art. Like they always say, you know art because you see it. I never see it. And so I wanted her to do something where she could support herself. And working some of the projects that she and I worked on, she now has decided that she wants to be, or she wants to get a degree in biology and chemistry. So I'm hoping she'll be self-sustaining. And that gets me to this one, who wants to study literature, which I'm okay with, but I would like for her to have a skill. So we figured, hey, you can be a teacher, that's wonderful, that's a noble job, but I don't want to support you, so let's think about some science-y thing. So here we are. And then obviously, she wants to start presenting at conferences. Yeah. She got a little jealous at her sister. So, she spoke in ShmooCon, DerbyCon, B-Sides Nashville. So I'm starting her off a little slower because she has a great personality, but she's the one with the mic because she whispers a lot. So I'm trying to. All right, go for it.
So, one of my favorite tools are.
Go for it. Pull it out.
Whoops. This thing right here.
What is that thing?
A solderer.
Soldering
is that what it's called? Okay.
Soldering iron.
I like it a lot. It's probably my favorite. And then, really bad with names. What's it called again?
Circuit tester.
Circuit tester.
One of the things you'll learn is you don't have to know the names of the tools in order to use them.
And then pliers and wire cutters.
Nailed it. And my favorite, the screwdrivers, because like I said, these are also pry tools. But that's some of the hand tools. I always like to use this because my job whenever we're working on projects is to actually break the bolts. And I'm a little interested sometimes. So I just throw this on there and let it sit for a while, and then I can usually get it broken. And then you'll see in the pictures, I don't do anything. Once I break the bolt, it's up to her to get it off. So I believe in hands-on training, right? So that's kind of the and we would like to thank our favorite guy over here, Sean, because he let us borrow his soldering iron and do some projects that we've actually included in our presentation. So let's destroy some things. These are not everything that we have. These are just the things because I travel a lot or used to. We got around to actually being able to destroy and build with. So go for it. What are the items we've destroyed?
The flashlight, the just general cables, and we had an old ice maker that broke, and then an electric scooter.
So each of these devices, we basically just wanted to look at the inside, see what they were built of, and then come up with ideas on what we could make. So the first thing that we did was the flashlight, and these are the components that we got from it. What are those components?
We found some LEDs, a battery holder that he broke, a click button, and a handy little strap.
So yeah, I because I have to do the heavy lifting, sometimes you can't snip things off. So I managed to break most of these. So a typical micro USB cable that most of us have if we have Samsung phones to a USB-A cable. And we just kind of wanted to see what the inside was. One of the things she wanted to make was a flashlight that we could plug into our phone. Each phone has a flashlight, but it's not sexy enough, right? We wanted to do it ourselves. So here's what we got from that.
A micro USB connector and a USB-A connector wires.
So then the second thing we destroyed was a USB-A to a USB-A male to female. And the purpose of that, I don't have a picture of that one because I kind of got mad and just threw that one away. Because I destroyed it too. One of the things we learned is a lot of even cheap cables these days, they don't want reverse engineered, so they make them to the point that if you try to do that, you'll just end up destroying the cable itself. So, but the cool thing is, she had the idea is, you know, in my phone, whenever I bought my Samsung, it had this this cable where you could plug in the micro USB, and then the other side was just a USB-A port, so that you could back it up to like a thumb drive. But that little device is like $45. So her idea was, let's build one. It can't be that hard.
This is the handy-dandy automatic ice machine that my mom conveniently broke before we started this.
That's the story, and we're sticking to it. It's Mom's fault.
So we found a compressor, a radiator, a fan, which was my favorite thing that we found so far, some interlocks, some LEDs, couple of push buttons, a lot of wires. There were so many wires in that thing. And then a power module.
And so what we did was we broke this down, but you can see what she's unscrewing right there. It's actually the control module for the ice maker. And we had a lot of fun just pulling components off of that, right? Anytime you get a board, it's fun. One of the ground rules that I had, just because I don't like what's inside compressors, is we weren't going to use the compressor yet. I don't like caustic materials, and I don't like materials that I don't know what they do, volatile materials. So I just know that inside compressors there's some type of liquid that I've never touched before, because whenever I was little, my dad always slapped my hand, so I would slap her hand if she tried to use it. So we will use that in the future, and we're going to need your guys' help too.
Like I said earlier, we found a fan, but we also found a water pump, a motor, and some infrared LEDs.
And how do we determine that those were infrared LEDs?
Because we thought they didn't work.
Yeah, so then I was like, maybe these are just infrared, because the LED's black in color, And we're like, who would make a black LED?
Yeah.
It doesn't work. So then we tested it and discovered that they are infrared LEDs. This was probably my favorite one.
Yeah.
Her favorite one was the ice maker. My favorite one was tearing this thing apart. Electric scooter that we did take from one of the kids.
Yeah.
But that's okay. He still has all the frame and the handlebars, so now he can just pedal.
Not the wheels, though.
Not the oh yeah, never mind. We took the wheels. So, we had a thought.
Can't see.
All right. Oh. So we found two things and two important things for our upcoming big project that you guys are going to help us on. One's a charging module, and the purpose of that module is twofold. It's to make sure that the batteries don't overcharge. It actually has a fail-safe that will pop out like a circuit breaker almost. And then the switch that allows you to turn it on and off.
We also found two 12-volt batteries, which I learned was pretty powerful for what we're looking to build. And then a couple of wheels, a chain, and a sprocket.
And the DC motor.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because that's our attempt for this presentation was to make small little things that you could make with your kids. Two 12-volt batteries in series. We decided was a little bit more power than we needed for our purposes. Yeah, I do want to today. We're probably going to hook one up to a light bulb just to see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, and then that's her using one of my favorite screwdrivers as a pry bar so that we could get the safety interlocks out, because we'll need those later for our big project.
Just an overview of all the things that we said we found, which are...
Yeah, I'll pick these up. So like I said, the two 12-volt batteries, they're still wired together. So we had delusions of grandeur, or maybe I did, where we would hook this up to some type of lever arms, maybe a meat cleaver, and chop up some meat real well. Because we figured we can get a lot of force behind this, right? 24 volts power with a, with this motor. We're thinking we're going to convert, this circular motion into some type of sawing motion, or back and forth, or up and down. But yeah, these are truly, like we said, the things that we want to play with more.
Yeah.
But for the purposes of this, didn't quite meet our needs. So at that point, before I would let her touch any item, she had to come up with some things that she wanted to make. This is one that kind of squeezed in later, the very first and simplest one. So, go ahead. So we tried to take apart one of those little mini LED flashlights that you can buy at for $2 at Walmart or what are the cheap tool place? I call it Rent-A-Tool. What's that?
Harbor Freight.
Yeah, Harbor Freight. I call it Rent-A-Tool because you can use it once or twice, right?
Yeah.
You take it back, they'll give you a new one.
I'm always embarrassed with what I do with my tools, though, because we destroy tools in my house. That's good to know. See, I came here to present, and I learned something. Thank you. Go ahead.
So we tried to take apart the flashlight, but he pretty much destroyed it in the process, so we couldn't use any of the pieces. But we found a handy-dandy little pet trainer. And
so think about it. The clickers, if you go to PetSmart, they're $20. We just got one for $2 and a lot of fun. So we considered this one success, even though the purpose was actually to use the parts of the flashlight to make a new light that we would plug into the phone. But because I destroyed it, we ended up with a package. Success. One step up in complexity, right? So because she knows what to wear and what's fashionable, we decided we would let any ladies know if they came that they could make their own necklaces. This is a real simple one. You basically just pass one of the connector ends through the battery holder that we destroyed from the flashlight, and then you have a necklace. Now, words of wisdom here, make sure that the connectors are different sizes. Otherwise, they don't match up very well. You look like an idiot in front of your child. But we're going to call this a success. So you're probably thinking right now, these guys really are idiots. But it's because everything following is failure. So we needed something to feel good and continue. Go for it.
So...
All right. So this is actually the a female USB connector plugged in or married with a or married with a micro USB connector. This was going to be our transmission device, right? To transfer data from an old phone that I have, which I brought, into a thumb drive. The problem is twofold. Number one, if you've ever taken apart one of these micro USB connectors, if you want your device to power that connector, then you actually have to use pin 1, right? And then you have to jumper the sensory pin 4 to 5 to ground. And what that does is it lets that device know it's responsible to power that wire. The problem is this USB connector, I mean, I don't know, it started off clear and now it looks white because I tried to rip it apart so that we could solder the cables that we need, right, or the wires, and I just completely destroyed it. So that was our big failure. We started with this one in reality thinking it was the easiest one. We would get a quick win and move on to harder things. And we actually spent a couple of hours just trying to get this before I just said, we're done, and cut it. So that's our failure. The next failure, our flashlight.
The flashlight. The one that I was most looking forward to, but sadly did not work.
And it was for the same reason. Different cable altogether. Different mechanism to keep you from reverse engineering it. And I don't have a picture of that one because, like I said, I just got frustrated and just threw it away. In my mind, if you buy like a $2 cable, it shouldn't be hard to take apart. And it shouldn't ruin a $20 tool in the process. But it did. So, same thing. Failure. But failure's okay, right?
You learn from failures.
That's what I love to hear. All right. Success. So, she decided next summer, whenever she's walking around, she doesn't want to be hot, right? We hate being hot. So what she wanted to do is bring her own, what I would call in the military, a man-portable fan, but she said that was too weird, so she's calling it her personal fan. And this is actually version 2. We'll show you that in just a second. Version 1, because we hadn't soldered at this point, was, what was version 1?
Just connecting the positive to the positive and the negative to the negative by hand.
Making sure it works, right? Does anybody in here use a breadboard? Yeah, so whenever we're doing these kind of things, or whenever I'm doing them alone, I'll mock them up on a breadboard before I do any soldering just to make sure they're going to work, right? So this was kind of our mock-up of this, because we had so much failure on very simple things earlier that we decided to do it that way. We actually want to thank our local Radio Shack last night. After I destroyed the battery holder from the flashlight, we went out to get some parts, and he just gave us a bunch of parts. So check out your local Radio Shack. Right here in Charleston. Now we realized that, you guys wouldn't be impressed if we just came up here on the stage and held 2 wires together and turned on a fan. So we decided to add a switch. The problem is the only switch we had, we destroyed removing it from that little electric scooter. So we actually used an interlock from the ice maker. So our ice maker actually had 2 interlocks because you had a tray that would dump, and then whenever it uprighted itself, the lever would move over and hit a switch to activate a water pump. And then whenever it filled up with water, then it would go back over into like a ready state until the ice got cold enough, and then it would move over. So that's how we got the interlock. And what did we do with that?
We just soldered it, correct?
Yes.
To the positives so that it works correctly.
Yes. So black to black, and then the reds we put to the little activator switch. And boom, magic. So you too can do magic with your children and be successful. And then here's more successes thanks to Sean. So go ahead.
So there's a lovely little demonstration that he set up here yesterday, and they were for these light up LED little buttons, badges. Okay, and so it was pretty simple, so hard to mess up, thank you. And so all you had to do was just put the little LEDs into the positive and negative side and connect a battery to it.
Yep. That was basically it.
Basically.
So we consider that a success, right? After our many nights of failure. And then, before we do this, we have to, every time you make one step forward, you have to make 2 steps back, right? So my daughter actually put this radio together, thanks to Sean. It's another kit that they offer up at their table. And you know, as a guy that's been doing this kind of stuff for a while, I was actually pretty impressed with her skills. And then, of course, it doesn't work.
I've got one just like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me and my son did one too.
So we're gonna take this. He actually provided us with another one we're gonna take home. I'm gonna let her do that one.
Wait a minute.
I'm gonna try to figure this one out. So input from the crowd. This is really our last thing. We're gonna keep this short. But what are we gonna do? What are we asking these guys to do?
We have a bunch of pieces that we have no idea what to do with.
Yeah. So we want to go with something big, and that's these pieces on this table here. So obviously we got a pretty good battery here. Like I said, 24 volts. We've got a 24 volt DC motor, and then we've got a wheel with a sprocket. We've also got like the chain for it. We have other devices that we can destroy. Some of them are currently working, so we're just waiting on Mom to break those.
Yeah.
Mom breaks a lot of things. So as soon as she breaks those, we're going to have like actuators. Some of the devices have actuators in them. I'm really wanting to take apart her vacuum, but it's a Dyson, so she won't let me touch it. But yeah. So whenever we wrap up, because we are almost done, if you guys have any ideas of what we could do, even if it's something that's going to require a part we don't have, I've got neighbors on both sides that love to throw things away. So we would just ask that you would come up and let us know. We have water pumps, and I mean we've got actuators and servos, different motors. So that's basically it. The biggest thing I like to do is I always like to thank people. So obviously Sean and his group, thank you for your yeah. We want to thank 304 Geeks for giving my daughter the opportunity to speak in public for the first time. Even though I ended up taking over like I always do. Sorry about that. I always thank Hackers for Charity. I've been working with them for years. We actually went out to Uganda whenever they were still there, and we got to teach kids a week of programming simple computers or simple robots. And she actually got to teach 20 kids at that time. Mm-hmm. So her and my other daughter. And So that was a life-changing experience.
Yep.
And then I always thank Marshall, just because, especially with my oldest daughter, they actually allowed her to come in and teach classes to get her to the point where she was comfortable public speaking. I do appreciate that. And of course, my wife, who provides us with a lot of material. This is really like 1/100th of what I have available in my garage, and it's just because, you know, things like, should I vacuum up those marbles? Sure. You know, I bought this thing. It should work. Or forgetting things in the driveway and running over them. All kinds of things. So, any questions or comments?
Are you looking for gardening tools?
Gardening tools?
As in to build?
Like what?
You can probably build something that can help you dig. The tiller?
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking supercharge a lawnmower.
So,
I mean, you got 24 volts to deal with there. You got...
yeah, that one does kind of scare me a little bit. Oh, maybe if we use weed eater string instead of a blade, that would be a little safer.
Well, you can supercharge a riding lawnmower.
It's a little expensive. I don't have a rider. No riding
It's
mower.
got to have one that they're throwing out somewhere. Cause
Somebody's got to. Winter's coming, right?
Yeah. Discount.
Yeah, I know.
You know, one of my coworkers bought one for like $200 from his neighbor because his neighbor never changed the spark plugs and it didn't start.
Yeah.
So, you know, find somebody like that.
I never actually thought about that. That's a good idea. I like where your head is. Anybody else? Gardening implements. So one of the things that I didn't talk to her about, I talked to her brother about, because he's the one that does a lot of the gardening with my older child, and she's moving on. So some way we have raised garden beds, 6 by 12 feet, and I mean he's 11, so he's looking for some tools, right? So maybe I could do something that would at least put divots in the ground so he knows where at, you know, pre-planned spacing, so he knows where to put the seeds. That's actually
That's ambitious.
That's ambitious. But hey, I'm willing to fail. Are you willing to fail?
Sure.
There you go.
A crazy fun project that I'd done with my brother. I have a brother in high school. And one of the projects we did is we hacked or, you know, took apart one of his old RC cars and then hooked a Raspberry Pi up to it.
Yeah.
And doing that, you can use a Wi-Fi and control it with your computer.
Huh.
So we was able to, you know, we used a RC car that had 4 motors because it's easier to control the 4 motors, you know, moving up and,
right,
you know, on and off than trying to turn. You know, have the one motor that turn left and right. So we was able to control it with the computer, and he thought that was awesome. And then the next thing I found a USB turret Nerf gun.
Yes.
With a webcam.
Oh yeah.
And you mounted that on top. So you can sit in your room and drive the car around and shoot people, and you don't even have to be, you know, eyesight of it. So,
Wow.
I mean, we even, you know, it really wasn't that hard because the
everything's there already.
Yeah, the camera was made to work on the computer anyway.
Right.
You know, the main thing was taking the motors. We actually use laptop batteries.
Okay.
Because if you bust the laptop batteries out, they've got a bunch of 18650s, lithiums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in a row.
Yeah, in a row. They're easy to charge with your charger. You know, so we wired them up to that. And because you can always find, you know, in where I work in IT, we've had 20, 30 batteries, and you would come to find out one of those 18650s were bad. You would think the whole laptop battery was bad. Right. So I have like hundreds of these batteries, and I actually take them out and put them in those flashlights that you were talking about.
Yeah. I didn't realize they were the perfect size for those batteries.
Yeah, that's what we use.
And what they'll do is put those little, what I will say is underbuilt, because if I can break it with my fingers, they're underbuilt, right? A little holders for AAA batteries.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Well, and they're rechargeable too. So,
yeah.
You know, That was really fun for him, and we used
Pretty solid.
what is it, Scratch?
Yeah. The programming language.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
And it, you just basically hit W equals 1 is on.
Yeah.
So you hit that, you let him drive. Drive his
That
car.
we can
So
do.
It's an idea. Now, I mean, really, all you need is a PI, a breadboard or some wiring, and a remote control car to.
We already got it all.
Pretty solid idea.
Well, we do want to make sure we don't go over like those that came before us. So thanks guys for sticking around. Like I said, it's one of those things that my older child I could just throw into the fire to survive, but she's a little more delicate, so I was wanting to bring her up at a smaller conference. One of the things that we plan on doing is we're going to go big. So she has a basic understanding of electronics now. We're going to start doing some bigger projects, and we hope to present at B-Sides Nashville. Hopefully by that point, that's in April. Hopefully by that point I can just be off to the side making sure she doesn't break my new computer, and then let her do it on her own. All right. Well, thank you guys very much.